Well, I wanted to find out about the legal ramifications. New Civil Liberties Alliance is looking at this, watching this, involved with this. Jenin Younes is one of their attorneys. Jenin, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Do you mind giving everybody the lay of the land? Because I know I've just given the Cliff Notes version here. What did Professor Zawicki say, and how do we wind up where we are?
Yeah, so the crux of Professor Zawicki's claim was that he had natural immunity, so the university had no compelling interest whatsoever in mandating the vaccine in his case. I want to point out that GMU is a public university, which makes it subject to constitutional strictures. An employee at a private university would not be able to make the same claims.
Oh, okay. So let's be very clear on that, because there are a lot of us who work for private companies, and these private companies have said, yeah, we're not pressuring you to get anything, but if you don't get it, you got to find a new job. But, no pressure. So are you telling me that those of us who work for private companies just don't have any way to go?
I'm not saying that. I think there are different claims one could make. There are possibly claims under the Americans with Disabilities Act. But you wouldn't be able to make the same constitutional claims. I do think that one of the claims we made actually could be applicable in the private context. It's the emergency use authorization claim. That's, as many people know, the vaccines have only been authorized for use under the emergency use authorization statute, and it's a federal statute, and it requires the free and informed consent of recipients of any product administered under it. It also says that anyone who gets a product authorized for use under it should be informed of the risks, the benefits, and told that they have the right to refuse it. So we argue that any mandate flies in the face of the spirit of that statute. And as it's a federal statute, state and local laws under the United States Constitution, any state or local law that conflicts with the federal statute falls. The Supremacy Clause says that the federal law is the supreme law of the land, and so state and local laws that conflict with the intent of the federal law can't survive.
Well, here's the situation that we're in, Jenin. The mayor of the city of Richmond announced that every employee of the city of Richmond will get the vaccine and will provide documentation, or they will be subject to termination. And the governor of the Commonwealth here has said every state employee will get it, or they will be subject, if I recall, to weekly COVID testing. Either one of those that would stand the legal test?
So the first one, if it's a get vaccine or get fired, I think you have a strong legal claim, especially if it's state employees, governmental employees. Okay. I think the testing, if testing is an alternative, I'm not sure that courts are going to look very favorably on the legal claim. I think they're going to see that as a minor intrusion and not really a big deal, and they're probably going to dodge the issue for that reason.
Interesting. Jenin Younes is joining us from the New Civil Liberties Alliance, and you guys were obviously part of this matter with Professor Zawicki. Now, Professor Zawicki himself, if I recall, has been a professor of law for 24 years, right?
That's correct, yeah, and has been tenured at JMU for 20 years.
Wow. All right, so he knows his stuff. He's a good guy. He's not some wackadoodle that just said, hey, I'm going to make trouble. How do you think his life now progresses at George Mason?
Well, he got the exemption, and yes, he was not just trying to make trouble. He has natural immunity, and his doctor said actually not only is the vaccine medically unnecessary for that reason, but it exposes him to a heightened risk of harm from the vaccine. Wow. Because if you have natural immunity, if you have active antibodies, you're more likely to be harmed by the vaccine. So Professor Zawicki was granted a medical exemption. The university has maintained that it's not because of his natural immunity. There was a sort of throwaway in his request. He had shingles a few months before. That was not a very substantial medical basis, to put it mildly. Like, there were no studies to back it up. The doctor kind of threw it in there as a Hail Mary. And so they claim that that's why they granted it. We don't really believe that. We think they wanted the lawsuit to go away. And I actually talked to the doctor about this. I mean, if that was the real reason, anyone who had chicken pox should be exempt because, theoretically the vaccine could reactivate the chickenpox virus.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so how many phone calls and emails and texts have you received as a result of Professor Zawicki's situation? Because I got to imagine there are thousands of people all over the country saying, hey, could you help me out?
Yeah, I'm really bad at estimating numbers, but I can tell you that all day, every day, I spend on the phone and email responding to people, and I can't even keep up with them. So it's a lot of people.
Will you be taking other cases?
I am. I'm looking at it.
Okay.
No promises, but I would like to. Yeah.
Okay. All right. No, I have to tell you, Jenin, I don't know if you took the vaccine or didn't take the vaccine, and it wouldn't be my place to ask. I know for me, I chatted with my doctor, and he said, yeah, for you, this is beneficial. You should take it. I took it, and I made my own informed decision. I'm comfortable with it. I don't feel comfortable with an employer saying, yeah, you must do it. Oh, and by the way, you have to upload your medical records. Gosh, I don't know. That just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, these mandates are not right. And in New York City now, they're required, and they're only letting in vaccinated people to almost all indoor spaces. It's really disturbing. This really shouldn't be happening. It should be a personal choice. I mean, there's no medical product in history that we've decided every single person has to get, and you're a bad person if you don't get it. These mandates are wrong. Yeah.
So, all right, now let me ask you another question here, Jenin.
Yeah.
There are supermarkets that I've heard are asking people as they go in the store, have you been vaccinated? Would you show us your card? And I'm thinking, I'm getting a pound of blueberries, and frankly, the 16-year-old who's drooling onto the cash register and licking his hands after he's put the potato salad in the container, I don't think he's a safe risk. So no, I'm not trusting him with my medical information. Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. It's personal medical information. This is bizarre, and I think people don't realize where this is taking us now. Why not require people? How about your whole criminal history? You have to show that every time you go into a bar. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't let you into a bar if you've had a bar fight in the past. I mean, this is a really weird. Really weird place to go down, and frankly, it reminds me of China's social credit system, and.
Yeah, it really does. It really does.
Yeah.
I think this is, I hate the phrase, the slippery slope, but I'm going to embrace it on this one because this is as slippery as it gets.
Yeah, and we're kind of far down the slope, frankly, when you're having to show your, private medical information in order to go grocery shopping or have dinner with your family in a restaurant. But
yeah. Well, Jenin, I know you, as you said, you're getting thousands and thousands of requests. I'm still going to ask for you to give your website because I do want people to know about what you're doing, how you've done it, read more about Professor Zawicki's case. Do you mind sharing the website?
Not at all. It's nclalegal.org. And people are also welcome to follow me on Twitter, JENINYOUNES. I do a lot of tweeting about the topic.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, I'm going to have to go over and give you a follow real fast. And then, if you don't mind, I would love to have you back as this thing develops.
Absolutely. I would be happy to come back.
Thank you so much. That is Jenin Younes. Jenin is the attorney from the New Civil Liberties Alliance.